So, on, I can't remember the date, but it was, I think, on Tuesday. On Tuesday, in the sessions Acts 17 apologetic is doing regarding Muhammad's week, they had one of the students of Zakir Naik from India, and this guy was giving the reasons why Muhammad is prophet, and I'm confident that you are more clear that Muhammad is not a prophet. But the part I watched was his presentation and little bit of the first rebuttal, and he just brought these wonderful madrasa teachings to Acts 17 apologetics, where he expressed, oh, this poor Muhammad. Anyone remembers this poor Muhammad who lost his father before he was born, then lost his mother when he was 6, he was orphan, blah blah, but he was trustworthy, all that junk in that. So I just want to address today is Muhammad trustworthy. I am addressing this. I'm sure Sam Shamoun and David Wood already did amazing job, but I'm addressing this in the intention. Very big, very big percentage of Muslims learn this story in Sunday schools. Not we call Sunday schools in church term, but in madrasas, where they get to hear poor Muhammad, he was orphan. That was in the time of Muhammad, everything was evil, but Muhammad never done any evil, single evil thing. He never drank any alcohol. Everyone around him was pagan, but he is the only one who never worshipped any pagan gods. And he's known as a trustworthy. He never told single lie. All those junks. Kind of what would you expect from perfect person. Suddenly, Islam claims to take that on Muhammad. So, it's not Friday schools, actually, it's madrasas. They are in England, I think they are two days, and even sometimes during the week in the evenings. So it's weekends or during the day in England, in the evenings. In Turkey, it is after school and also at the weekends. So depend where you live, but that's what they kind of teach their children. You can our opening song doesn't have a title, but I think we can go in the lines of Allah is false God, Muhammad is false prophet, come to Lord Jesus Christ. You can just download the video and then cut it, and then you can have that. I'm not sure if I should be claiming. I'm not sure if I should claiming copyright for that song. So let's get on with lovely business. But actually, before we get on with the business, so now, since I told you what we are going to talk about, can I also just gently encourage you to stay on the topic? So our topic is Muhammad trustworthy? And as kind of, feel free to give your rebuttals. Freedom of speech is very welcome, as well as I'll gently encourage you to keep your conversation in the language of English. Also, yeah, sorry. I've got a video, longer version of this video on in the channel as I Feel Pretty. We named this video I Feel Pretty because one of the picture a sister sent it regarding when we did the Muhammad's cartoon. It was kind of inspired from that picture. So you can, like, that's longer version of it. The one I play on the live stream is only 1.46, 1 minute 46 seconds. So in that in this short one, again, you get to see all the pictures, yet the one on the YouTube channel titled I Feel Pretty, that is like pictures are longer, so you can actually observe and read the pictures. Thank you for reminding that 37 different Arabic Qurans. So please keep your conversations in the language of English. Please, 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 there is no need for you to copy the same text and post it 10 times within 1 minute. That goes under the spamming or harassing, and there is no need it. If you really want to get my attention, try to put @ in front of DCCI Ministries. That will help. Otherwise, your comment, you are going to be timed out for spamming and just destroying the chat. If you are not here for healthy conversations, let me encourage you to go somewhere else. I don't know, you can go and have that in mosques, or I don't know, in muta houses, wherever you would be doing those conversations. But since we have got topic, it's helpful for us to stick with the topic and then discuss the topic, and I will give you chance to produce your rebuttals or support, or give extra references, whatever you would feel it is relevant to you. So let's get on with it. So Muhammad is very much trustworthy. Okay. So when you trust someone, what kind of things you would expect from that person? If you are trusting me, what do you think, what kind of attribute, what kind of characters I should be having? Can I get some help from there? Also, sorry, I forgot to give one of the another side information regarding the chat. Can I just gently encourage you to please don't use the chat for people's personal informations or get to know one another. That's not for that purpose. If someone is trustworthy, what kind of characters do you think that person should be having? So that person should be loyal. Attributes of knowledge, constancy, truthful, honesty. That's a good one, and essential one, of course. So what I want us to kind of look little bit without kind of, yes, wisdom, caring, honesty. I just want to look at, does Muhammad meet up any of the characters which you need to be trustworthy? Short answer is gonna be no, and long answer is gonna be no. If someone is trustworthy, you wouldn't expect people to tell whole the world that you are a liar. Okay? If someone is trustworthy, you wouldn't expect someone to just lie. Or if someone is trustworthy, I think if your wife or your husband, if you are not married, then your mother or your father will be the one who identifies, yeah, she's very trustworthy, she's very much trustworthy, or he's very much trustworthy. So I want to kind of first go and look at the Quran. Does Quran identify Muhammad as trustworthy? Which I was gonna do it on Thursday, but I didn't have time. And then after that, I want to go and look at, what does wives of Muhammad, how do wives of Muhammad identified Muhammad as a what is it? How does wives of Muhammad identified Muhammad as trustworthy or not? Or and then also other thing is, if Muhammad is trustworthy, what do we see when we look at his life? Do people kind of say, yeah, we can trust this guy? When does he make promises, and then does he keep his promises? So those are the very, very basics. Okay. I want to go to the basics because at mosques they don't teach the basics. In madrasas, in Islamic schools, all you get to hear is, he was wonderful, he was poor orphan guy, he was so orphan, but he was trustworthy. That's you get kind of in madrasas. So let's get on with the basics. What I'm gonna do is, actually I need to, okay, let's see how it's gonna work. Okay, so was Muhammad trustworthy? Can I just ask gently to admin to timeout, or I don't know what you would be doing. Timeout maybe ideally better, because I'm not that much blocking people fan. World News UK, can we just time that person out? Nothing personal, but this platform is not for individuals' personal comments or questions. So, what did Meccans taught about Muhammad? When we look at the Quran, okay, we get to see from the Quran actually those wonderful Meccan people thought Muhammad was a liar. Surah 38:4, Surah 53:11. I put the references on next to screen so that you can next to, what would you call? I put the references on the screen so you can check them out. So Meccans thought Muhammad was a liar. That's not very trustworthy character, is it? People thought Muhammad was fabricating his revelation. Not very trustworthy at all. People thought he was inventing false sayings, which means like he was lying. People knew that he was lovely lying. It was not only that, he was hanging around with this jinn, okay, this lovely genie. People thought he was bewitched. People thought he was under the magic. People thought he was a forgery. And people thought he was mad or possessed. So that doesn't look like so far Muhammad was trustworthy according to Quran. This comes from the Quran, okay? Allah steps in. Remember, Allah is Muhammad's cuddly blanket. Every time Muhammad needs something, Allah steps in and then responds to the people. People are accusing Muhammad to be liar, forging, making falsing the revelations. Allah steps in and then responds to them. And of course, it's not only that. He was one of the best trustworthy person in all of the history. Therefore, only thing he did was confirming that he is one of the best liar. Surah 66 verse 44 to 46. And if Muhammad made up about us some false sayings, which means if Muhammad lied about us, okay, if Muhammad is a liar and using Quran to justify his lies, using Quran to get away with the things, using me as a Allah to get away with things, then what I will be doing, we would have cut from him the aorta. Muhammad, if you are not trustworthy, if you are liar, and if you are making these stories up, and it's going on and going on, what we will do is, we will cut your aorta. I think that's a very strange claim to come from Allah. This comes from Allah, okay? Allah didn't even know his prophet. And of course, what happens is, it comes true. Sahih Bukhari 713 confirms that Muhammad himself says, I feel as if my aorta is being cut off from that poison where Muhammad ate from the woman. So, if you lie, we will cut your aorta. Oh, you lied. And what we will do is, we will cut your aorta. Muhammad says, yup, I feel like my aorta is being cut off. I think that's just wonderful. I think that is just very much wonderful. While we are talking about how Muhammad is a liar, people in the chat has zero, especially Muslims, I'm assuming, using the fake names, has zero understanding of why they are trusting this a liar who was killed by Allah. I think it's wonderful. I think it is just wonderful. Allah confirms Muhammad is a liar, therefore Muhammad deserves what he asked for. It doesn't only stop there, of course. It doesn't only stop there. According to Quran, Muhammad is not trustworthy. Okay? Muhammad himself kind of confirms, yes, I wasn't trustworthy, therefore my aorta is being cut off. It's so painful. But Aisha, just understand me. It is to just fulfill the promises Allah said. Allah said, if you lie, if you make false informations, false sayings, say goodbye to your aorta. And he says goodbye to his aorta. That is the love language of Allah. That is the love language of Allah. So, was Muhammad, just ignore the please do ignore the titles of the slides, because those slides were put together for the different purposes. Of Islamic Dawah team or Muslims ignore everything. They don't want to handle that Muhammad's aorta is being cut off. Actually, the term which used in the Quran is exactly the same what has been used in the Hadith. Yes, they did cut his aorta. There is something wrong. Those comments are coming so big. I don't know what I did. Maybe I did something probably in the past. And no, that was wrong move. Let's make it this. Let's see. Something bad happened in the chat. Okay, I think this is better. So, Quran tells us actually Muhammad is not trustworthy. And then Muhammad confirms that he wasn't trustworthy, therefore he says goodbye to his life. And then we come to Quranic verse of Surah 66. And background of Surah 66 is, I'm talking about from 4 to 5, where Muhammad is being caught in a bed of Hafsa and with someone else who wasn't Hafsa. Hafsa comes and then caught them in his bed. Muhammad is having sex with Mary the Coptic. That, those of you who know the story a little bit, that's already tells us actually you cannot trust Muhammad. Why? Because in the Quranic verse, in the context, it is talking about he made an oath to his wife, and then he said, I'm not going to do this again. And then what happens is, he does it again. Even the promises he gave, his wives cannot trust his promises. Can you imagine your wife, the one you're supposed to share the life, cannot trust the promises, cannot trust the things you say to her, because she knows you are gonna break it down. And in Surah 66, he uses Allah to justify that. Very much, very much, very much disturbing. Very much disturbing. And of course, it's not only that, this famous hadith which is talking about how Muhammad struck Aisha in her chest, which caused Aisha to have pain. And Aisha is just a child bride of Muhammad. But there is something interesting in this hadith. I'm not focusing on why a husband is beating his wife. Since we are focusing on trustworthy of Muhammad, hadith tells us when Muhammad and Aisha goes to bed, okay? And middle of the night, Muhammad decides to leave the bedroom and then go to different place. Aisha noticed that her husband is getting ready to go out middle of the night. Aisha decides to follow him. This hadith altogether tells us, actually, even though Aisha child wife, Aisha doesn't trust Muhammad. If you trust your husband, you wouldn't be checking out middle of the night what your husband is up to, why your husband is leaving. Because before you go to bed, your husband would be saying, oh, Habibi, I've got 3 o'clock meeting, I need to be in office, so I will be leaving early. Or I am flying somewhere, I need to be at the airport. I need to be at the airport for 5 o'clock, therefore I will be leaving early. There is not such a conversation. Aisha gets very suspicious as Muhammad leaves the house. Aisha doesn't trust her husband, and then follow her husband middle of the night. If your wife even cannot trust you, how were you capable to fool 1.6 or 1.8 billion people to follow you and trust you? That is like serious question. A wife of Muhammad did not trust Muhammad. Not only probably she knew that Muhammad had sex. Muhammad has been caught in the beds of Hafsa with married a Coptic, and then he broke his promises. But she knew my husband is sneaking out middle of the night. I don't know if that is the kind of correct term, but like he's just sneaking out the house. And then wife is, let me check out what my husband is up to. Options. Option 1. He might be going to another wife. I don't trust my husband. He didn't tell me he was gonna be at the airport. Where is he going? I think it is very disturbing. A wife cannot sleep with next to someone who she doesn't trust, and she had to spend all of her life, actually all of rest of his life, that she had to sleep with him when it was her turn. I would say that is disturbing. That is very, very much disturbing. I wasn't planning to take the call, but let's take call. Hello.
Hello, Hatun. How are you?
I'm okay. Yahya, how are you?
Very good. Let me silence this one. Yeah.
Okay, you need to get rid of that background sound, Yahya.
Yeah. Maria.
So, first of all, let me express how grateful I am that you called in and give us the sign that you are alive, because today is Eid, where people are just chopping the animals. I just thought if you are on the street that they might get confused and then chop you off, but you survived. So, congratulations. We are
Uh,
we are
are
talking
you
about
are you trying to mock me, Hatun?
no.
I am not an animal to be shot by mistake.
Why would you think like that? I said people get to when they chop the animals, people chop
Yeah,
their
yeah.
hands, people cut their
Uh,
fingers. Don't you know those statistics? Yeah, yeah.
okay, regardless. Uh,
I'm talking
any
about, is
question you
Mohammed
want to ask?
trustworthy?
Yeah, I listen to you. Yeah.
I need you to get rid of that background sound. There is like television open or something.
I mute it.
Okay. So I am asking the question: is Mohammed trustworthy? Okay. And then I brought up hadith, where we learned actually poor Aisha didn't trust her husband. She followed her husband as husband left the bedroom.
Okay.
Can you tell me what does it
What,
make you
what I
think?
what I said Bukhari came 185 years after the death of the Prophet. So the narration, it might be wrong and false, because if Aisha didn't trust the Prophet after his death, she could have exposed him as a liar and not trustworthy. Besides, he lived 40 years among his people, and who he used to be called the trustworthy person.
Oh well, day after day people are calling me like donkey faces, but that doesn't make me donkey faces. So because you call people for certain titles, that doesn't mean he has that title. If he's trustworthy, my reference for this is Sahih Muslim. Can you check the hadith, because I want you to engage with the hadith I put forward. Sahih Muslim 2127. Okay? So
Okay, can
Aisha,
you, yeah,
so let me ask you a question. When
yeah,
you
yeah,
leave
you,
when you
can you,
leave your bedroom
okay,
during the night, does your wife follow you and check you out where you are going?
uh, I'm not aware that my wife, she's going to check on me where I'm going. Anyway,
So she doesn't,
uh,
probably. She doesn't.
this Muslim, when did he met Aisha or other prophet of
Yeah, 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 yeah,
wife
yeah.
prophet?
That is the if you are discrediting the hadith, you are the
Yeah,
one who needs to give me the references. It has already been identified as the sahih. So my question is to you: if your wife is not following you up middle of the night when you leave the bedroom, or even in the morning when you go to the work, if she's not following you up, that kind of sign that in somehow, of course, that's still debatable. She doesn't give you the sign that she doesn't trust you. So
okay, okay,
Aisha,
yeah,
Aisha is following her husband as husband leaves the house.
okay,
Middle of the night, when it is
okay.
her turn. Okay. Can you just tell me what made Muhammad to give the signals or give the signs to Aisha that Aisha becomes suspicious and doesn't trust Muhammad? That's the question.
Okay,
Sahih
okay,
Muslim 2127.
okay. As you said, if it's not her turn, he wouldn't leave her and go somewhere else. Besides, if she don't trust him, she would have exposed him as a liar after his death. If we say that he was a traitor and not trustworthy. And again, my scale is the Quran and not a hadith, because there are some hadith, as you know, there are more than 7,000 hadith, and some of them they just there to offend the Prophet. And
I'm not so.
I
Am I right to understand so far? You become Quran only Muslim. Is that correct?
no,
No.
it's not
If
correct.
that is not the
I I
correct, that if that is
I
not the
approve.
correct, if
let me make it clear. Let me make it clear.
Sorry.
Let me make it. Let me
Yahya,
make it clear.
no, I want
Any,
you to engage with what I am saying. I don't
I
want you
am,
to give me
I
Friday
am
khutbah.
on.
So why Aisha is following her husband middle of the night?
I didn't met her to ask her about this.
So what are your options?
Okay, the option is this is a private life between the prophet and his wife, and regarding his life, it's up to them to deal with. What I accept the hadith, which is not contradicting Quran, but I cannot just blindly accept any hadith who offends the prophet, and this is my position. I
So this
accept the
hadith
hadith
offends the
which
prophet.
goes,
Why? Why
because
this
as
hadith
you
offends the
because
prophet?
as you are saying, the prophet, he's like betraying his wife and leaving her behind to go to another wife and to sleep with her, and it's not her turn. And the prophet, we all know that each day or each uh, like he managed to have a schedule which each of his wife to spend time equal to the other. So the prophet was just with all his wife and treat them as equally as a human can be.
Okay, so here's my schedule. Okay, this is my schedule. That was my schedule for July. I am grateful that Mohammed, who couldn't read and write, had a schedule. And with his schedule, he was able to put his wives on a schedule. So that is, I think, very much disturbing. And we
I,
know
I,
actually
I guess
Mohammed failed to do that, because when it comes to the Sauda was like big and big and big and big and old. Therefore, she passed her nights to Muhammad in the intention that Muhammad doesn't divorce her. Poor lady, she was freaked out that she will be divorced in that age, and she's big, and there was lots of kind of schedule, Muhammad's schedule kind of mixed up. But I am grateful that you already told me that this hadith makes Muhammad untrustworthy. That's all I was looking for. So, since this hadith makes Muhammad untrustworthy, okay, let me bring you another hadith. I can't believe there is something we are agreeing here. Sahih Bukhari. Okay, so have you got YouTube on? Yeah, have you got YouTube on?
I didn't do anything.
No, because I'm gonna put it on the screen so you can see it on YouTube if your YouTube is on.
Put it.
Okay. So here's another hadith. Sorry, I pressed the wrong place. Sorry. Messed up now. That's just
Anyway, while you're doing it, let me
okay.
say something. Let's say that uh, Prophet Muhammad is not a prophet, and as you said, he's illiterate and he don't write and read. So how come he managed during 23 years to come up with a Quran almost 380 page and with 114 chapter, and uh, to be without TV or internet or anything, manage a follower over 1 point, let's say 5 billion around the world?
That's a good question. And quick answer is actually Muhammad didn't come up with the current Quran. That's a different topic. So I'm trying to talk about how trustworthy is your prophet. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay.
now, Yahya, when you give promises, do you keep them?
I try my best.
You try your best to keep them. Why do you want to keep them? Let's say if you tell your son that you are gonna spend the day with your son, why would you want to do your best to spend the day with your son?
because a promise is a promise, and
Good.
you try to be just with whom you just trust you for the promise.
Okay.
And
So if
the prophet, peace upon him, I guess I told you already, his nickname, they call him trustworthy. So even when Prophet Muhammad claimed he is a prophet, his enemy, they trust him with their belonging. And before he fled to Medina, he left Ali behind him to give the stuff he saved for his people, even his enemy, to give it back.
so it is good that it seems that today you remembered what they teach you in the madrasas, but that's not what I'm talking here. If Muhammad is trustworthy, why in the Quran his people are accusing him to be liar? If Muhammad is trustworthy, why he was killed because he made false stories regarding Allah and his sayings? Therefore, his aorta is being cut off. But here's the thing: you want to keep your promises to your son, and I would expect probably that is the promise. That is the principle which you get from your prophet, because your prophet is so much trustworthy. Therefore, he keeps his promises, and then you will keep your promises. So, here is a hadith. Okay, are you able to see it on the screen? Yeah, here.
I can see your face on the screen.
So you don't have YouTube on.
I have YouTube on, yeah, but it's small. Okay, I see it, but I prefer to look at you.
Because I am more
Anyway,
trustworthy than
the
Muhammad. I know,
the
I
the,
know, I know.
the,
I am
uh,
much
the
trustworthy
hadith.
than Muhammad.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna read the.
I didn't say you are trustworthy more, but the hadith is too small for me to check. I have to put 14 glasses on top to see it.
Then be extra kind and go to check Google, go to the sunnah.com, figure out
Yeah.
Sahih Bukhari 7
Okay.
67 427. Okay?
Okay. Be nice and read it to me.
Of course, I am much better than Prophet, of course. He couldn't
No,
read,
no,
but I will be reading.
you're not.
I will be reading. Muhammad couldn't
Read.
even
Okay,
read.
read.
I love the privilege I have.
You're going
Um,
tomorrow to speak her
by
corner.
Allah, by Allah and Allah willing, if I take an
Yeah.
oath and later find something else better than that, then I do what is better and explain my oath. If I promise you something and then later I change my mind, that's absolutely fine, because my later proposal is much better. If I make an oath and then I find something better, just don't trust the oath I made it, because I'm gonna discredit that and make a new oath. Muhammad was one of the worst trustworthy men ever lived, it seems, according to Islamic history. And I'm grateful that you think that it is important you make promises and you keep your promises, but your prophet says, actually, if there is better option, I will be taking the better option. Can you explain this hadith to me? Bukhari
Okay.
7 67
Okay. Okay. Okay.
427.
Okay. Sometimes, some urgent matter come to pass, and sometimes you, even if you promise something and you can't do it, so you make it up another time. And the life of Prophet Muhammad with his wife is not going to affect our faith. uh, and let's say that Prophet Muhammad, Islam, Quran, and everything is false. Okay, let's apply this on between the father and the son. Did the son trust the father that he are going to save him when he teach the son teach, seek, knock, and find, and ask? And when he did practically beg all night to be saved, what happened to him? he was ignored and he was left to die on the cross to save you as you claim.
So
So
I did. It's not as
the
I
father
claim.
is not a trust. I didn't finish.
No, you don't need to finish because
Okay,
I can
okay.
see the intention. Actually, you noticed Muhammad is freaky, creepy liar. Therefore, all you are doing is coming to the Christian scripture. But let me say
No,
something.
no,
It is
no.
not something
If
I
Muhammad,
claim.
as you said,
Yahya,
if
listen,
Muhammad,
please.
as you said,
Listen,
if
please. Thank you.
okay,
It
okay,
is not
okay.
something I claim that King of Kings, logic of cosmos, eternal Son of God gave his life for me. It is not something I claim. It is a historical event. Lord Jesus Christ died on the cross. That's a historical event. Now, let's focus on the topic which I am trying to discuss. According to this hadith, Muhammad is simply saying, don't trust me, don't trust me. Other objects, other beings are much more trustworthy than me, because if I find something better, who cares about the promise I made it to you? Such as, let me give you an example. Let's say you got engaged with someone. This guy is like six-pack, handsome, tall, all those kind of things. You engaged, and then following day you find someone who is actually got, I don't know if it is possible, but like 8-pack instead of 6-pack, and much taller, much handsome. And all you are doing is because you find someone better, therefore you are just like, okay, I'm not engaged with you anymore, I'm separating from you to go to the next person, and then that's follow up again and follow up again. So if your prophet is saying, okay, don't trust me, can you tell me why do you trust him?
Uh, the comparison between what you said and what I said. Let's say, as I said, if the prophet he cannot be trusted. Yeah, we are talking
No,
about
no,
a
no, no, no,
human.
no, Yahya,
Please, please,
Yahya,
please, please.
Yahya, if you
You
are
should
telling,
allow me
no, Yahya,
at least
no,
finish.
no, Yahya, if you think your prophet is not trustworthy, I want you to take the if out of your sentence and then tell
Okay,
everyone that your prophet is
okay.
not trustworthy, therefore you are not Muslim anymore. Then we can have healthy conversation
I,
on
I,
the
I
Christian
believe
faith.
I believe that my prophet is trustworthy, but I put another case for you. He is a human, but when I'm talking about your God
No,
failed,
Yahya, Yahya,
failed his
excuse
son,
me,
trust,
excuse me,
and
Yahya.
he let
This
him
is not
a
for
brutal
this
death on
session.
the cross. Okay, okay.
This
Finish,
session,
finish the conversation.
this
Finish.
session,
Bye bye.
this session is not about you to attack my God right now. And Yahya just left. God, it's painful when someone hangs up on you. This session is not for what is it called? For individuals to step in and attack my God. You can see the title, maybe there are spelling mistakes, but we are talking about one of the most trustworthy person called Prophet Muhammad. So, according to what we have so far is, according to Quran, people are accusing Muhammad as a liar, as a forgery, bewitched. Surah 66, Allah is confirming that actually, Muhammad, the promises you told people, no one cares about it. Just get on with the life, get on with having sex with another slave, another slaves. And peace of Christ be with you, daughter of Christ. Daughter of Christ, can you hear me? If you can, I cannot hear you, so I need you to turn off all of your computer and then call me again, okay? And I do hope that you heard me. I think you did. She did hear me. So it's not only that part, that there is a problem Allah confirms Muhammad can lie. Okay. Wife of Muhammad, mother of the believers, doesn't trust her husband. Can you imagine you sleep next to someone day after day, or when your schedule comes, and you don't trust that person? That person might chop your head off in the morning, or just like put a pillow on your mouth and you died. But what Muhammad did in that occasion simply just struck her in the chest. And last hadith, let me put that again. Oh, didn't come. So another hadith, sorry, that picture is so big now. And then Sahih Bukhari talks about Muhammad says, please do follow this part. By Allah and Allah willing, if I take an oath and later find something else better than that, then I'll do what is better and say goodbye to my oath. Who cares? I promised you before. Who cares? I promised you before. Clearly, Muhammad didn't care. This is one of the most trustworthy men. I think very much disturbing. Yet you end up in Sunday schools and you get to see that he is so much trustworthy. He is so much trustworthy. Let me put another one. Muhammad, whom's supposed to be the man of the truth, practice deception and gets rid of the life of someone else. Bukhari 369. Full hadith is on your screen. Someone is saying, then allowed me to say false things about this guy. And then Muhammad says, of course. Muhammad doesn't say, no, you need... Hello?
Peace of Christ, sister. Can you hear me?
Yes, peace of Christ be with you, sister. How are you?
I miss you, sister. Where have you been?
You missed me? I can't handle heat. I'm just like struggling with heat. Let me just finish something and then I'll take you in, okay?
Okay, sister.
So there is this wonderful hadith. There is this wonderful, very much wonderful hadith where Muhammad simply gives permission to his men to go and lie about someone because apparently, this orphan Muhammad's feelings are being hurt. Okay, he gives permission for people to go and lie about this person, and those people go and deceive this person. Like stories like very much disturbing and disgusting, and from that they just kill him. And what Muhammad does Muhammad step in and then says, oh, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Why did you lie and get rid of this person? Or does Muhammad even punishes these people? No. Muhammad is very much okay for the lies being told about this guy. And then the way, like, if you read the full story, it's like very, very disturbing. Like, they intentionally deceived this person. Very much intentionally. They try to be friend with the person. And then as the time went on, they just simply, yeah, let me take your head off from you. That is the most trustworthy man. Very much trustworthy. But at Sunday, in madrasas, in Islamic schools, you get to hear how trustworthy he is. Quran talks about people who are telling Muhammad is a liar. Muhammad confirms he's a liar and gets killed because of that. His wife doesn't trust Muhammad. Man sneaks out from the bedroom middle of the night. Creepy, very, very, very creepy. And wife is like freaked out what's happening. Man who breaks his oaths, that's not enough, use lie to get rid of other individuals. Very much disturbing. Daughter of Christ, peace of Christ be with you. How are you doing?
Well, sister, I like the heat, so I don't mind too much. But
It's hot.
I know you struggle with the heat, so
I might have heart
Pray.
attack. You
I'm
might
praying for
find me
you.
somewhere. I've been praying for tomorrow that it will be cooler. Otherwise, like speaker's corner will be like very uncomfortable. But anyway, so what have you done during the heat? Did you put your trust in Muhammad?
No, oh no, I'm not stupid. By the grace of God, by the grace of God. I just called because it was so funny. Yaya is just so much comedy. Please pray for him. We will miss his comedy if and when the Lord saves him. But he said a couple of things that were silly. If you don't mind, sister, the first thing he said was, "What the Prophet does with his wives is none of our business." Which, if you say that as a Muslim, you're an apostate, because he's meant to be the example for you.
Walking Quran. He's the walking Quran.
Yeah. You look at what he does with his wives and you do the same with your wife. So, Yaya, do you sneak out in the middle of the night without your wife knowing? And does she come out and follow you? Because if you follow Islam, that's what it is. That's what's happened. And we know full well, sister, and I think you were great in getting to the bottom of that hadith. She did sneak out to follow him because she couldn't trust him.
Can you imagine, like, you sleep with someone, you share life with someone, and you don't even trust that person? It's like worse than that. Your dogs are not trusting you. This is worse than that.
Yeah, and she's not crazy. He gave her a reason because he's sneaking out without her knowledge. If everything was in the open and they could trust each other, he should have just said, Aisha, I'm off in the middle of the night to go and pray for the dead, even though the dead can still wait till morning.
Or other thing is, like, probably Aisha was thinking, I had a long day just washing the semen of Muhammad.
Yeah.
Now, let me check where he's gonna go because I've got busy day tomorrow. I don't want to wash his semens. That might be the other thing. You never know what is going on in this mind of this woman.
But then he discovers that she's following him, so he comes back. He rushes back home, and she rushes before him, and then the whole thing ends up with a strike on her chest that caused her pain.
She gets beaten because she's not trusting the husband.
You see? And then he says to her, did you not think I was going to be fair to you? Wow. So this is the example, guys. He was so trustworthy that his own wife couldn't trust that he would be fair to her.
So that's lovely, trustworthy Muhammad, and wife who finds her husband untrustworthy. Okay, let me bring your attention to the other one, the one I showed a couple of since you just came in. Please share your feelings and your thoughts with us. I'll put it on the screen. So this is Bukhari 427, where Muhammad kind of talks about, goes on, and then says, actually, who cares, I made the oath. If I find something nice, I will discredit my oath.
Which is a silly thing that Yahya says. He says, I don't care if it says it in the hadith. If the hadith contradicts the Quran, he doesn't follow it. But unfortunately for him, the Quran says that too. Surah 66 verse 2, Allah has ordained for you the dissolution of your oath. Says that in the surah. So where is he going to go with this one? Yeah, I can see the hadith.
So in the Surah 66, Muhammad is making promise to his wife. Why? Because his wife caught him in her bed with someone who wasn't her, in action. In my bed, but I am not the one who you are having sex, Muhammad. Muhammad says, oh, Habibi, I'm so sorry. It was just a mistake. I thought she looked like you, she smelled like you, she is skillful like you. But I didn't know it was you, because maybe it was because I couldn't read and write. Maybe that might be the reason. But anyway, maybe his eyesight wasn't very good either. And then from that, he says, okay, I won't be doing that anymore, Habibi. Let's get on with the life. and he does it again.
Yeah, and again, it shows that he's not perfect. Muslims keep saying he's perfect. If he was perfect, his wives wouldn't have questioned him and saying, "What are you doing?" And he should have said, "I'm the perfect walking Quran. This action that I am doing with Maria the Copt in your bed has wisdom behind it. Don't question me." No, but what he does is he acts just the same as any other man who's caught cheating by his wife. "Oh, I'm sorry. I promise I will never do this again. I will never touch her again. Take me back." He acts the guilty just like everybody else who's in the same situation. And then, like you say, sister, Allah steps in and he says,
Excuse Muhammad.
yeah, says, "No, you can sleep with her again. No problem."
Yeah. So like, for me, like, because Allah is not trustworthy anyway, therefore I do not have any expectations from his walking Quran to be like, his walking Quran is not trustworthy either, because they just match and they complete one another. But I have a problem when Muslims are in madrasas, in Islamic schools, are washing the brains of children with, "Oh, this orphan Muhammad, he was so trustworthy. Even he had a title of trustworthy. How do we know he was trustworthy?" No comment. That's my problem. Like, they lie those children from early age, and those children becomes teenage, then they become adult, then they become parents, and then they lie to their children the same thing. "Oh, this lovely Muhammad was so trustworthy." How do we know this? Oh, we know this because he was trustworthy. No, we need no reasons. Or other option is, "Oh, we know he was trustworthy because he lied, and he got killed because he lied. He was so trustworthy, even his wife, whom he shared life, couldn't trust him. He was so trustworthy, he made people to lie and get rid of other people, cause other people's death by deception. He was so much trustworthy, he even himself said, 'Don't trust me. I'll say you something, but I will do something else.'" That's the definition of trustworthy in Islam. Disturbing, very much disturbing.
Yeah, and in a way, I can kind of feel for Muslims because this is what I call slogans. What we're taught as children when we're Muslim is Muhammad is the truthful and trustworthy, Sadiq al-Amin, truthful and trustworthy. They don't tell them all the hadith that you show them, sister. They tell them to just keep repeating slogans. And what Yahya said before about numbers, it was another silly comment. Remember, he said, well, if he's not a prophet, how come he got millions of people to follow him? Since when was truth by numbers? There are millions of Hindus. There are millions of Sikhs. There are thousands of Satan worshippers. Since when does numbers mean the truthfulness of anything, sister?
Or other option is, you marry with a Muslim, make Muslim babies, make more Muslim babies, make more Muslim babies, make more Muslim babies, make more Muslim babies, and those more Muslim babies becomes adult, and then they make more Muslim babies, more Muslim babies, more Muslim babies, and then they become an adult, and then they make more Muslim babies, more Muslim babies, more Muslim babies, and then you introduce them right to believe. You have right to believe anything you want.
Yeah.
But the moment you give up this Islam, which you received by being born,
Yeah.
and what we will do is, we will just
Kill you.
separate your head from your body. It's absolutely fine. We will take your heart out. It's absolutely fine. You won't be breathing. Then what happens? Law of apostasy keeps Muslims in Islam. That's the reason of the numbers. Babies, more babies, more babies, and then introduction of the law of apostasy.
Yeah, and
That's why it's big.
And if he actually reads the history, the way Islam spread in the first century of Islam wasn't by people flocking to his beauty. It was by the sword. Muslims went out with Surah 9 instructions and instructions of Muhammad. Either you become Muslim or we cut your head off, or you pay us jizya if you're a Christian or Jewish. It was spread by military conquests. It was spread by violence. Sister, and people became Muslim just to have a peaceful life, to protect themselves from the Muslims that were conquering their land. That's why Islam in the first 100 years of after Muhammad died spread so fast around the earth because of military conquest, because of violence.
And other thing is like the battle where 70 people who memorized the Quran died.
Yeah.
And then they took the Quran with them. The reason for that battle was because people were claiming to be prophet. People wanted to leave Islam. Poor
Yeah.
Abu Bakr, like he was, maybe poor is not the right term, but this guy who has like holes, this Abu Bakr guy, 2 years caliph, and all he did was get rid of the apostasy. Stuck in
Yeah.
Islam, stay in Islam because Islam is so wonderful.
Yeah, as soon as Muhammad died, people were trying to leave it. People were apostatizing. People were stopped paying the zakah, the tax to Abu Bakr, and then they had to come back by force. I've got a theory, sister, that Muhammad called himself the truthful and the honest, trustworthy. I think he was trying to be Jesus. I think he was trying to be like Jesus.
Steal from Jesus.
Steal it from Jesus. If you go to Revelation verse 14, Jesus is called the faithful and true witness. I think he stole those words and applied it to himself. But the difference is he couldn't live up to those words.
All I am asking is just, I shouldn't be even asking those questions. Like you should be already have answer to those questions. The moment I am moving my lips, you should be able to guess the questions I am asking, and you should be able to answer those questions. If Muhammad is so much trustworthy, why his wives, not only one wife, but his wives, plural, did not trust him? If he was so trustworthy, why did he use deception to get rid of people? If he was so trustworthy, why he did not keep his promises? If he was so trustworthy, why did he say, oh, I'll make another oath? No worries, the oath I did before. So much trustworthy. So much trustworthy. Islam in somehow, I think this all goes back to the main story that Muhammad, according to Muslims, cannot read and write. Because of that, any term we use when it comes to Islamic tradition, any terms we pick from the Islamic tradition, when we try to put them in the Oxford Dictionary, all those meanings are changing. So the moment when Muslim tells you Islam is Muhammad is trustworthy, that means you do not follow the definition from Oxford Dictionary. Trustworthy means is liar who cannot keep his promises. His wives didn't trust him. It's very, very disturbing.
Yeah, that's another thing. What's being illiterate got to do with anything to do with trustworthy and truthful? So what are you saying, that all illiterate people never lie? They never tell a fib? That's like, I'm sorry, Yaya's silly logic. And another thing, he says, how can an illiterate person write all the Quran? He didn't write it with his hand. The babblings that he said, people wrote it down later or wrote parts of it, as far as we can tell historically. And you can tell it's an illiterate person because it jumps from one subject to another without any link between the phrases or the subjects. Quran, like I said it before, it reads like when you read it, you feel like you're listening to a schizophrenic person they have a thought disorder where they can't stick to one subject. And the flow of ideas is very random. And so actually, it's not a great literary work if you're going to go that way. So yes, it's the ramblings of an illiterate person. Someone wrote them down. That doesn't mean he's a prophet. And half of it was stories that he heard from the Bible that were so badly plagiarized, you could tell that his listening skills weren't very good. The people who were around Arabia at the time, Christians and Jews, and we know his link with Waraka, he might have heard some stories from him and then wrote them, said them again. And he repeated a lot of those stories, he kept repeating that. If you read the Quran, it just recycles the same stories, a few stories again and again and again.
Very much untrustworthy man. And in somehow miracle happens and he ends up in madrasas, in Islamic schools, as trustworthy prophet. Oh, this orphan guy. He was so much trustworthy. Anyway, all I wanted to break that down. But I guess let me just summarize actually what we got. Okay?
Allah is a false god, a false god, a false god. Allah is a false god, a false god. Allah is a false god, a false god, a false god. Allah is a false god, a false god. And Muhammad is not a prophet. Muhammad is not a prophet. If you want grace and mercy and love, Islam is not for you. But Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus is the King of Kings who died to save us all. If you just repent and believe He took your sins on the cross, then mercy and grace, forgiveness and love, eternity can be yours. But Allah is a false god, a false god, a false god. Allah is a false god, a false god. If you want grace and mercy and love, Islam is not for you. But Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus is the King of Kings who died to save us all. If you just repent and believe He took your sins on the cross, then mercy and grace, forgiveness and love, eternity can be yours.
Even hearing the statement that Muhammad is the most trustworthy person who lived in 7th century, even that statement by itself confirms and screams out how much false religion Islam is. I think that is all the bottom line. Daughter of Christ, do you want to share your last thoughts with us on the topic?
It's interesting that when we dug a little deeper about the trustworthiness of Muhammad and the truthfulness of Muhammad that Muslims love to talk about so much, we didn't get any answer. I didn't get any answer. I've been looking at the chat as well since I've come on. All it is, even from other Dawah gangs from Speaker's Corner, is what about Jesus this? What about this? They can't defend. They can't actually provide evidence that the prophet that they're following is trustworthy and honest. Isn't that sad? They can't provide any evidence. And the Quran itself, like you said, sister, mentions, I've been watching the stuff that you put on earlier, is many verses where people called him liar, they called him bewitched, they called him that he fabricated verses. And even he himself said that Allah will cut off my aorta if I fabricate verses from him. And he said at the end that this time has come when that my aorta has been cut towards the end of his life. And in the Quran itself, it says that Allah allowed him to break his oath. What kind of trustworthy person breaks his oath to you? The hadith shows that Aisha couldn't trust her husband to walk out the house, which is incredible for the most trustworthy person on earth. Was caught in bed with with one of his sex slaves in the bed of another wife. doesn't sound to me a cheating husband, basically, a person who can't keep his oaths, is called trustworthy in Islam. That is the miracle of Islam, sister. A cheating husband who can't keep his word is called the most trustworthy in Islam. This is what it is. And of course, we know the Quran allows followers taqiyya. It allows something else called tawriya, which Sheikh Yasir Qadi was talking about. He was very happy to follow. And so many ways to lie and to change the truth and to hide the truth in Islam. Once you dig a little deeper, there is no evidence that he was trustworthy at all. This is the person that the Muslims, unfortunately, have put their salvation in his hands, have put their eternity in his hands. It's a very risky game. I would say, please leave him and leave his false religion. If he lied to you about one thing, how do you know he hasn't lied about being a prophet? How do you know? Can't trust him. Leave him and come to the Lord Jesus Christ, that had no deceit ever came out of his mouth. Thank you, sister.
You mentioned it. I might be wrong, but I wanted to download Yasir Qadri's video on the holes in the Quran one. I can't find that on his YouTube channel. I don't know, but it might be taken down or something.
What happened to it?
I don't know. It wasn't there today. I don't know if I didn't look carefully. Actually, I looked intentionally for long videos, but I couldn't see the video. It might be gone. It might be gone, but we don't know.
Yeah, he mentioned something called tawriya when Muhammad Hijab was pushing him. He said, "Look, I could be doing tawriya now, and not tell you the truth, but I'm telling the truth." Tawriya is basically a way of being being economical with the truth. Yeah, saying some things that are true and hiding the rest of the story in order to deceive. And it's a thing in Islam, and it's in Islamic jurisprudence. It's a thing that you can do. And if you Google tawriya, there is lots of rulings about it in Islam. It's a bit like taqiyya's younger sister, tawriya. It's another way of lying in Islam, basically, and it's for the sake of furthering Allah's religion, protecting Allah's religion. Another way of lying. How can Islam be the religion of truth with so many words for lying? I don't know. It's basically like tawriya is basically like, say a person comes to your house and you don't want to see them. You tell your child, tell them I'm not here. By here you mean the other room, not this room that you're in. So you're technically telling the truth, but you want to get out of the situation. This example was actually on an Islamic website to explain tawriya. Just the whole mess of lies, just get out of it, sister.
Allah is identified as the best of the deceivers.
Yeah.
What do you expect from his prophet? Would you expect his prophet to be trustworthy? Answer is no. If he's the walking Quran of Allah, then yep, he continues to deceive and lie and not being trustworthy. Of course, on the other hand, Lord Jesus Christ, King of Kings, Logic of Cosmos, Son of the Father, there is not deceit found in his mouth. That is the one we worship. He's identified as the truth. Yet, there are some of you in the chat who has not met him yet. My prayer is that one day, before it is too late, because one day every knee is gonna bow down to him, one day every tongue is gonna confess that Christ is Lord. That's gonna happen one day. But my prayer is that happens while you are still breathing in and out. That happens while still you are in this world and enjoying God's beautiful creation and enjoying one another. Because when it reaches to the time that you are physically not breathing in and out, that is literally too late. That is really too late. On that note, brothers and sisters and beloved ones, we will see you at Speaker's Corner tomorrow, or we will see you on Monday on another live stream. May my risen Lord silence you with his love, and those of you who don't know my risen Lord, may he bring you back to himself. And daughter of Christ, thank you very much for joining me.
God bless you, sister.